General Irabo's book launch today exposed major issues in our security architecture. As former President Goodluck Jonathan reveals, Boko Haram once nominated former President Buhari to lead peace talks with the federal government. And the issues with the People's Democratic Party and its internal wranglings keep escalating. We got more reactions into internal leadership issues in the party and a major nightmare ahead of the party's planned national convention in Oyo State and the 2027 politics dynamics. Hello everyone, welcome to Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale, right here in Abuja. I don't know where to begin, but let's begin from the very, very top. There's so much to touch on. That's why I like to... You were not probably in the room today in Abuja where issues relating to security and how it was handled in the past government came up for discussion. And it brings up throws up a lot of issues as to what really happened, how it happened, the regrets, and some of the dynamics in our security interplay in governance in Nigeria. But I'll be bringing you the soundbite tonight, so stick around with me. I'll bring you up to speed with some of the major things that were said for you. But before we get started, let me bring to you your political roundup stories.
The Federal High Court sitting in Warri Delta State has issued an order directing the Nigerian Police Force and Inspector General Police to maintain the status quo in the ongoing case concerning the tinted glass permit. Delivering the interim order, the court directed the police authorities to respect judicial processes pending further proceedings in the matter. Confirming the development, Kuledu, SAN, who is the chairman of the NBA Spider Public Interest Litigation Committee, knows that the directive is a major step in ensuring that the rule of law is upheld while the substantive issues in the case have been determined. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has reiterated the need for contractors to ensure prompt delivery of projects to ease traffic along major routes in the city center. At the flag-off ceremony for the construction of a road linking the Central Business District to Wuse District, the Minister notes that the intervention is a priority call towards making the FCT a modern capital. However, he wants management staff of the FCT to double their game or be shown the way out. As part of efforts to ensure good governance, an APC support group, the National Amalgamation for the Continuation of Renewed, is asking Nigerians to be patient with the federal government as it works towards delivering the dividends of democracy. Addressing a news conference in Abuja on the heels of President Tinubu's Independence Day speech, the national coordinator of the group, Olorunwa Adeleke, appealed to Nigerians to support President Tinubu's vision of repositioning Nigeria. Lastly, to Ebonyi, where the political group under the aegis of Francis Frontiers have declared their support for the re-election bids of both President Bola Tinubu and Governor Francis Uwifuru, as they called on the people to take advantage of the ongoing Independent National Electoral Commission INEC continuous voter registration exercise to be able to vote in the upcoming polls. The group poised to promote good governance made the call during the unveiling of its chapter at Ezangbo, in the Ohaku local government area of Ebonyi State.
Those are your political roundup stories. So let's begin. From General Lucky Irabo. You remember him. He was the past Chief of Defense Staff. Well, the nation's security journey came under sharp reflection at that public presentation of Scars. A new book by former Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, who retired just recently. And it was there that former President Goodluck Jonathan made a striking revelation that at the height of the Boko Haram insurgency, the group once nominated President Muhammadu Buhari to represent them in peace talks with his government. Mr. Jonathan also says that the persistence of the insurgency, even after Buhari became president, shows the crisis is far more complex than often portrayed. You also described the abduction of the Chibok schoolgirls as a scar that will never leave his administration. Let me allow you to listen to how former President Goodluck Jonathan put it in his own words at that book launch today.
And the title of the book is quite interesting. Scars and the Boko Haram Conundrum. It is interesting because, when I was in office, and one of the major scars on my government, and it would be on my face, and like Bishop Cook has said, no plastic or cosmetic surgeon can remove it, is the issue of the Chibok girls. It's a scar that I will die with. But later on, people may know a little more details. And that's also to do with the Boko Haram. What do they really want? Of course, our chairman raised the issue when interviewed some of them, and they gave him some perspective. But probably one day, I pray that some of the Boko Haram leaders may be literate enough to document what they have done, so that people will really know what they wanted. So if you put all these things together, you begin to say, this Boko Haram, why is it that from 2009 till date, we've not been able to resolve the crisis of Boko Haram? So just like Bishop Kuka tried to raise some fundamental issues. Yes, we need to approach it differently. The issue of carrots and the stick may be adopted. And yes, probably they need something. But if you look at the weapons they use and you value the weapons, then you know that these are not hungry people.
Those are the reflections of former President Goodluck Jonathan. What about former President Olusegun Obasanjo? He was at the event and he spoke. Take a listen to him.
When in 2011, I went to Maiduguri to try and find out, after Boko Haram has attacked the UN office here in Abuja, if there's Boko Haram, what was it? Who were there? What are the objectives? What do they want? How can we satisfy them? I found, yes, there was Boko Haram. I found they were not really aiming for anything political, nor anything seriously religious. But in short, they were looking for a better life. And any other thing attached to that is a better life for them. Have we understood that? If we have we taken the steps that we should take? If we have, why are we, after 15 years, Boko Haram is now virtually becoming part of our life? Should we accept that? If we should not accept it, what should we do? How much do we know? Even from the other side and from this side, have we been active enough? Have we been proactive enough? I think we have to ask ourselves.
All right. The experience of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, those are some of the experience and reflections of two former presidents. Let me allow you to listen to that of the reflections of Bishop Matthew Kuka, who has warned that Nigeria cannot defeat insurgency with military operations alone, insisting that only reconciliation, justice, and reforms can secure lasting peace. Take a listen to him.
When this whole thing started, I published an article, I think it was in The Guardian, and the title of my article was Bread, Not Bullets. And I was trying to make a point, to point out to the government of Nigeria that these issues require they don't require bullets. But from day one, fighting Boko Haram became a military operation. And because it was a military operation, fighting an idea, we have had problems with identifying the nature of the forces. And what is very interesting for me, I've not read military doctrine. But military doctrine is part of the propaganda machinery of the military. General Agwe is here, so I will not go too far on that regard. But you listen to the Nigerian military, they've had Operation Lafi Adole, that is wellness by force. Okay? How can you make Lafia by force? But we have Operation Lafi Adole, Operation Flush, Operation Restore Order, Operation Hadankai, Operation Zaman Lafia, Operation Rawankada, Operation Amni Fakad, Operation Yanchin Tafki, Operation Sharafege, Operation Lake Sanity, and so on and so forth. One operation fails, there's another way for us to be in peace. He deals with issues of security, national reconciliation, political orientation, patriotism, judicial reforms, structural reforms, good governance, are recommendations that the author makes if we are to reverse the ugly trends that Boko Haram has inflicted on us.
Bishop Matthew Kuka there. The Sultan of Sokoto also gave his own views about how best we can end the cycle of violence and insurgency in the country.
Let's live here with this notion that jihad is not to kill, because we are living peacefully with one another. I'm a Muslim and I know I'm a Muslim. You're a Christian, you know you're a Christian. Then when we understand one another, we are better equipped to deal with one another. Because I know who you are, you know who I am. There's nothing you can do to me. There's something I can do to you. Understanding is the most important thing. We understand one another and live peacefully in this country. And I want to also correct the notion that when Bishop Kuka talked about Islamism, if you use some words maybe in a wrong manner, or somebody might feel Islam is negative. Islamism is not aimed at seizing power at any particular forum. Islam is after good governance in society. And whoever is there, President Goodluck Jonathan was president, we gave him 100% support throughout his presidency. Nobody said anything negative about it. He knows that and he's here. So Islamism is not what you think it is. It's a wrong notion that you are bringing up here that is to seize power. It's not to seize power. We're after good governance.
Sultan of Sokoto there. Well, so much speeches and so much so much things that were revealed on the podium. The writer, the former Chief of Defense Staff, also spoke and talking about how he's able to document his views, his experience, and what he learned on the job for posterity and also for Nigerians to understand what exactly and learn also from the experience of the past. But the incumbent or the present Chief of Defense Staff also has some lesson to take from this. And this is what he had to say.
Boko Haram can be defeated. It is a whole of society approach to the solution. It's not a one-off thing. Like I said, it must be deliberate. Where we got to where we are today, when it started, it should have been nipped in the bud. Asymmetric warfare is a different kind of warfare to conventional kind of warfare. Conventional, you are dealing with states. Asymmetric warfare, the enemy is within. It could be your brother, it could be your father, your mother. the enemy is within. And identifying him is one aspect. And because they are dealing with ideology, it's not written on the forehead, it's within his mind. So you must find solution to the mindset of the people that are doing these things. And also look outward, because there are also people from the outside that are ready to ensure that they continue to succeed and the country continues to fail.
Which is aimed at focusing attention on credible solutions to the nation's challenges. As we unveil this book, I invite you to join me on a journey of reflection, empathy, and hope. I have always believed that man exists to solve problems. If you are not solving any problem, then your existence is worthless. Therefore, let us remember the victims of Boko Haram's atrocities. And let us also note that scars, the journey, Nigeria's journey and Boko Haram conundrum is not an indictment. Take it from me, it's not an indictment. It is a national soul-searching presentation. It is an awakening reality to either act dutifully for progress or do nothing and tend towards extinction.
That's my way of summarizing and bringing you up to speed that event, the presentation of scars, the Boko Haram conundrum, as put together by the former Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, earlier today, where prominent Nigerians were present there. A lot to take away from that. But we'll switch gears now and discuss a very interesting and tricky, albeit a dramatic twist in the People's Democratic Party leadership. But that's going to be after this break, everyone. Join us again. For staying with us. So, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has dismissed insinuations of internal crises within its folds, affirming that its elective national convention, scheduled for the 15th of November, is on track. The National Publicity Secretary of the party, Mr. Debo Olugbagba, was here on this program yesterday. And at the press conference earlier, before then, in Abuja, he said that all preparations for the convention were on track. So Olugbagba dismissed the speculations of internal disagreements within the party's National Working Committee members following separate conflicting letters written to the Independent National Electoral Commission on the party's state congress in Cross River and Akwa Ibom State. He says what some perceived as conflict was merely democracy in action, noting that PDP is a party that debates and resolves issues through its constitution. He says that the leadership requires responsibility and the constitution is clear on the roles of the party officers, adding that when anybody has the opportunity and the privilege of being a leader in a party, the minimum expected is responsibility. Those are some of the thoughts of Mr. Debo Olugbagba, where he puts them together at a press conference earlier yesterday and on this program. But let me refresh your memory about some of those things that Mr. Olugbagba said at that press conference in Abuja.
The APC has taken us back to the bondage, so we're no longer free. That's what independence means. We're now dependent, and there have been so many reports of so much borrowings that are not tied to anything specific in terms of development or human capital development. It is to be funding appetite, the corrupt appetite and corruption of the government and its agencies and their officials. Not many, substantial number of Nigerians didn't watch or didn't listen to the president. Why? Because they know it is the same false lies, statistics that are not correct. You said inflation has reduced by 21%, but is that reflected in the marketplace? Those are the issues that on Independence Day, the president should sit back, give an account of his governance. In the last year and in the last 2 years. But that didn't happen.
There's been several reactions to the positions of Mr. Debo Ologunagba as far as those conflicting messages and communication that we saw between the National Secretary and Mr. Ologunagba's office about the Congress and the leadership of precisely that of Akwa Ibom State, PDP. Let's get the other side of this conversation. I'm being joined by Mr. Okechukwu Osoa, who is the Deputy National Legal Advisor of the People's Democratic Party, who is live for us here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight on the program.
Thank you for having me, Cheru.
Are you a member of the NWC?
I'm a member of the NEC.
Of the NEC?
Yes.
Because your role as a Deputy National Legal Advisor
exactly.
does not put you here, except if the legal advisor is not available or absent, or you are replacing him or deputizing him, isn't it? Is that right?
Provided in the Constitution.
As provided by the Constitution of your party. So, largely, what do you think has gone wrong because the body language that we saw or reflected is that if the National Secretary, by your constitution of the party, of the PDP, is in charge of the daily affairs of the party administratively and the accounting responsibility of your party, we see one messaging coming out, because usually the communication between your party and INEC is often signed by the National Secretary. And we now see Mr. Debo Ologunagba, who is the spokesperson of your party, speaking in a different tone. The Secretary has come out to say, whatever Debo has said is null and void. Is your party in some kind of disarray?
What I will tell you is this. We are not actually in disarray. But I can say it's a communication gap and understanding. I'm surprised to see that Debo, who is our National Publicity Secretary, who is actually a lawyer, who now want to act in ultra-virus against the provision of our Constitution. Because our law is so clear. The provision of the Constitution of our party, as amended in 2017, in Section 2 provided entirely, among other things, that this subject to the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and any other law in force, that the provisions of this Constitution shall be binding on any other every member of the party and its organs. And also, there are, if you go to the Constitution in Section 35 and Section 36, provided both the functions and duties of both the chairman of the party and then other national officers, essentially the National Secretary. So for Debo to say, if you go to Section 36, like I've said, you find out that the functions and duties of the Secretary, National Secretary of our party, is so unambiguous and so clear. He provided in Section 1 of Section 1 of that Section 36, that the National Secretary is the chief administrative and accounting officer of the party, and that he consists all the that every correspondences of the party must be signed by him, and all notices both for National Executive Committee, National Working Committee, and even the National Convention. He holds he's in charge of all the records and proceedings of the party.
But that's what the Constitution says.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
but in this sense,
yes,
the national chairman, which is Umar Adamago, has the power by the Constitution of your party to convene a meeting.
Exactly.
But which we understand that there is a communication to convene a meeting on Monday.
Yes.
But the National Secretary was absent.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Are you aware that he was absent?
Let me tell you, so, because our party, Nigerians are looking up to PDP as an alternative. And then I don't think we should be able to be shooting ourselves on the leg. We should not be laying booby traps for ourselves.
For the question here.
Because what I'm saying, because
you have
the National Secretary, the party...
You have established that the National Secretary has all this power. This is his duty.
Okay.
I mean, not contested.
Okay.
But are you aware that there was a meeting convened? Other members of the party, about 16 of them, were present, but the National Secretary did not appear.
Which is wrong, which is bad. Because if you see, before the NEC, there was a time we were having a problem about National Secretary.
Yeah.
Some correspondences and letters were written to INEC, and the INEC rejected them. because the position of the national secretary is so fundamental and very important that all the whole correspondence must be signed by him. Even proceedings, even records, even notices of meeting, we must be able to issue.
So if there is a meeting that was convened and he was absent, should the party be...
And the deputy was not there, because even in the provision of the constitution, that even in his absence, he should have delegated or asked the deputy to deputize.
So that's the
question. But he was not there. That
so
means that
why is the national secretary now countering what Debo Ologunagbe has put out, because he was not present in the meeting? The other members of the party were there. They took a decision. Should the party stand still because Senator Anya...
What you know, you're a lawyer, I believe. You're my learned colleague. Yeah. There are legal consequences of every action you take. Because if the national secretary is not there, all the proceedings, he did not take down the proceedings, and he was not the person that issued the notices as required by the constitution of the party, then whatever you do there should be null and void.
So you're saying that because of the absence of Senator Anyanwu at that meeting, whatever they did at that NWC meeting
is null and void.
Without the presence of
the national secretary.
Is that
because the notices were not issued by him?
No, but that constitution does not say that in the absence of the secretary that the meeting...
The deputy was not there.
But the absence... So this is the point I'm making. Now, that a meeting held without the secretary being present is not void.
Was he invited? Was he informed? He was the person who was...
Debo said that the meeting was escalated to all the members the same way it was escalated to the national secretary.
I'm not aware. Because what I'm saying, their party should be treated with caution and carefulness, because we are planning to hold a national convention, which is the highest organ of the party. And we want to produce national officers that will manage the affairs of the party in the next 4 years and leading us to the election of 2027. So we should not be doing things wrongly.
Yeah, so
let me say,
my fear is that...
Because the party constitution, let me say...
In May of this year, just a moment, apologies to the curtain. In May of this year, Mr. Damagum has come out to deny Debo Ologunagbe.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, this is not the first time it's happening, that one of all those senior members of the NWC will say, what the boss has said is not the position of the party. Whatever he said cannot be. So there is usually a
overreaching. There's an overreach, because all of us, the whole national officer in 2021, we're all elected the same day. And we are members of the NWC and the members of NEC. So nobody should usurp the powers of the other, so that we don't shoot ourselves on the leg. The national secretary, I've told you, even when we're having issues about the national secretary, INEC guided us properly and then told us, advised us that every correspondence must be done by the national secretary. All the notices, anything that you should send to INEC, the national secretary should sign it. So why are we not trying to, circumvent?
And when there's a problem with the national secretary being
I'm surprised, like you have mentioned now, that in the past there was a time Debo was even showing, turning out some information and communications that was not even directed by the national chairman. And the national chairman reacted. So I am appealing to Debo. As far as I'm concerned, what if that is office as the national publicity secretary? If tomorrow he sees the national financial secretary taking up that his position and his functions and duties, will he accept it? So that is what I'm saying. The national secretary is important. Just like we are talking about the national convention, there are certain things we need to put right in accordance with the rule of law. Are you hearing me? Like there are some states in the federation where state congresses have not taken place. I know that of Ebonyi State, which even in the last NEC meeting, the NEC advised and directed that they should go and conduct those fresh congresses, both in Ebonyi State and Anambra State. And even the Southeast Zonal Congress was nullified by the court. The one that was held or purportedly held in the past was nullified by the court. And the court, the NWC, the NEC meeting directed that a new Congress should be conducted in the Southeast. And they have not done it. And we're talking about National Convention. And apart from that, there are people like the National Vice Chairman Southeast, Ali Odefa, was expelled by his ward and even the local government and his state. And he went to court. The matter went to court. And court upheld that expulsion. And he's still allowed to be attending NEC meetings and even parading himself as the National Vice Chairman of the Southeast. These are anomalies. And that's why I say we need to guide against these things. Because if you go and conduct a national convention, elective convention, And you have not conducted all these proper congresses, both in the Ebonyi State, in the Anambra, even in the Ekiti State. Who are going to be the delegates that will come and vote in that national convention? Are you going to disenfranchise some people and exclude them? This is why I say we must do things properly, because Nigerians are looking up to us. We want to rescue Nigeria from the bad and catastrophic governance of the APC. Then why wasn't we put our house in order?
So now, let's get it right.
Okay.
Now, as a lawyer,
okay.
You are talking about the implication of the absence of Senator Anyanwu.
Yes.
You are saying by implication, and if I'm getting it right, I just want you to be very clear, that whatever happened on Tuesday in that meeting was null and void. That meeting and whatever they agreed on does not hold water.
There are what, apart from substantive law, there are what we call procedural law.
Yes.
In procedure, he is the one who's supposed to, in a sense that those notices for that meeting, one. He's supposed, if there's any proceedings in that meeting, he is the one that's supposed to take down the proceedings. He was not there. And he did not even, conduct or delegate powers to his deputy. The deputy national secretary was not there. So who is going to take those proceedings?
Now,
and the record of the meeting, he's supposed to even send it to INEC. Are you hearing me? And anything he doesn't sign that goes to INEC, it's null and void.
Now, you are saying that whatever they decided on, because they made decision substantively and primarily on Akwa Ibom State.
Okay.
Now, and the position is very clear. They set up a committee.
Okay.
But that's what Senator Anyanwu said, that disregarded. It doesn't
because
matter. So you are saying that decision...
Akwa Ibom.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, the last NEC meeting, their state chairman attended that NEC meeting. Their tenure is still running. And you because the excuse, like watch when the National Publicity Secretary came on board here, he said that because that the state ESCO followed or joined the governor of the state who defected to APC, which is wrong. We have a structure, a political structure in the state, and the governor defected to another party. That structure still remains. Like I'm telling you, the state chairman was in the last NEC meeting. They are still there, and you now dissolve them, and then appoint a caretaker.
Are you aware that that structure is loyal to the governor that moved to the APC?
It's a speculation. I'm not aware.
Is that a speculation?
Yes,
you didn't see that the governor has moved to the APC?
He moved to APC. That is his right.
And those are loyal to him.
They are not. As far as I'm concerned, they were elected executive of the party in the state, and they are loyal to the party, and they maintain their loyalty. So if the governor defects, he didn't defect.
How do you measure loyalty?
Like I am the national officer now. If we have president today, and maybe president, my president defects, or whoever, my governor defects to another party, I'm a national officer of the party. I should follow him without reasoning. So that's what I say. The party executive.
Because there are indications that the governor is said to have boasted that he owns the structure of both the PDP and the APC. Do you want the party at the national level to be looking on? Because there are members of your party who are seen to be APC in the morning, PDP at night.
But this example I gave you, is a governor making that statement is an assertion, and that's left for him. But the reason I'm giving you that even the state chairman was in the last NEC meeting. He was there. I saw him. So he still.
So you oppose the dissolution of that of the end of the ESCO?
Yes, because the ESCO is there. You don't dissolve them.
But
we are going for that.
But you did.
And
you did not
propose to go for a national convention with caretaker. Are you hearing me? Because the rightful point of the law is that you come with an executive officers.
But executive officers are not likely to be elective delegates.
But the delegates, they are statutory.
What is important, especially when you are going to have an elective national convention, the delegates is very, and the delegates are statutory.
But even the state ESCO is statutory.
You could be an ESCO and not be a voting member of the national convention.
But
it's possible.
Yeah, but they are statutory. Most of them vote.
Yeah, but the question here is that what do you want the party to? What would the party have done in a case where the NWC, in its own thinking,
in this forum, in this platform, I want to advise my party. My party have said it. There should not be exclusion. Everybody should come together and work together. People are trying to allow their personal interests in this form to override the collective interests of the party. Some of these people you are talking about who are speaking are being sponsored by some other groups or people who want to truncate and destabilize our party. The party should work together. The national secretary should be allowed to function effectively. in his own duties and functions. The other national officers, the members of the NWC, will work and do their own, perform their own duties and even functions. And collectively we work together in a synergy, because the drafters of our constitution who provided for those the duties of every officer, we are wise. They were in their wisdom. There's a kind of separation of power, but there's harmony and synergy.
I am worried about one thing that is in the background of your speech tonight.
Okay.
And what we are warning about is the danger some of these activities may have.
Legal consequences.
On the Ibadan conventions.
Because it has happened in the past. When Zamfara State, you saw what happened in Zamfara, and even in Plateau State. You do things in the due process of the law. Because you have power, or there should be no impunity. Because when you maintain impunity, tomorrow you might think you have done everything, and you find out that you will lose what you have done. That's what we need to avoid in the PDP.
What is your biggest fear? That the implication this could have on Ibadan Convention?
The Ibadan Convention have already, the date have been chosen and the venue. But like I have told you, there are some states that their congresses have not been conducted. And I remember the last NEC meeting, 102 meeting, the last NEC meeting. They directed the National Working Committee that they should go and conduct those congresses. Even in Ebonyi, they have fixed a date for Ebonyi and Anambra. I don't know why. Even without consultation, the next thing we had was that it has been postponed. And these things, you allow it to play out, and you go for national convention. That means you're setting up a boo-boo trap for our party and for ourselves. And people will now be so scared to come and use our party and contest the election. Because if you do things properly, in accordance with the rule of law, and maintain that rule of law, people will have that confidence to come and contest. And even when they contest, whatever they will not have that fear of losing it.
So my fear right now is whatever you are seeing playing out with Debo Ologunagba and Sam Anyanwu, the National Secretary. It does look like that battle, that tussle for Sam Anyanwu's seat, the National Secretary's seat, is not over. There's still some kind of, is reminiscent of the fact that some people don't want Sam Anyanwu in that
But I remember, that NEC meeting where we ratified, everybody, the whole stakeholders met, and we said everybody should share their sword. That Anyanwu, after being guided and advised by INEC, that he remains the National Secretary of our party, in accordance with the judgment of the Supreme Court. It has been there. So anybody who is still having or bearing grudges is left for him. But what I'm saying, like in my own zone, Southeast has been a PDP zone. All the times in this democracy, you find out that elections come, and Southeast has always given PDP the highest number of votes. Are you hearing me? But right now, what is playing out, if they want to do anything, I've told you that the proper Congress of the Southeast zone has not been conducted. Some states in the Southeast, both Anambra and Ebonyi, has not been conducted. What is tantamount is that you are trying to exclude them. You want to disenfranchise them. And that we say no. Most people in the Southeast are worried. That's why I said, apart from the National Secretary issue, we should tread with caution PDP. I know that people love us. They are looking for us. Everybody says PDP is the alternative. Because going by the antecedents and pedigree, what we were able to do in the past, PDP ruled Nigeria well. So let us not, because of internal wrangling and some disagreements, then put ourselves in jeopardy. That's what I want to tell you.
This talk about Goodluck Jonathan, possibly, and I asked that question yesterday, is he still a member of the PDP?
The question you are asking is very pertinent. When he left as president of Nigeria, he has never come out any day to tell you that he has left PDP or he has joined another political party. Are you hearing me? Yeah. Because it was PDP that elected him then as a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And he performed creditably well. So since then, he has not told you he has left PDP or he has joined another political party. But as far as I'm concerned, he's still a member of PDP.
Have you seen or felt his presence as a member of the PDP in any way?
It depends, because he's a state, national figure and the other statesman. And he has a lot of engagement, both internationally and nationally and locally. So most times he might be occupied, but then I know at a point he just went by the side and kept cool. He was not involved in politics for a while. But I know that people still talk about him because of his records. Are you getting my point? Because when he was in power, when he was the president of Nigeria, PDP ruled Nigeria well. in terms of the statistics, in terms of welfare of Nigerians and standard of living. At a point, the economy of Nigeria was rated #1 in the whole of Africa, even surpassed that of South Africa. And you saw the exchange rate there was about 100 and something naira to a dollar. And the people were so feeling better then than now. So that's why people look up to him. But we are still, politics is all about negotiating.
Yeah.
Negotiation.
Yeah.
And then people are still talking to him. And other PDP members, I have even said it in another platform. There was a time I was interviewed in Arise TV. I said all the members of PDP who left our party, and those who are, who has what it takes, we are still appealing to them to come back. And I know there are still discussions going on the ground. Even the good Lord Jonathan, Peter Obi, all of them who left. Everybody in this country, Democrats, Nigeria, PDP heralded democracy in Nigeria in 1990, if you can find out. So wherever party you are, even in APC, most of them, they left from PDP. So we are still talking to them, and even good Lord Jonathan, he has what it takes. He's one of the best candidates you can offer anywhere. Even Peter Obi, all of them, they left from PDP. We are appealing to them to come back, to make our party stronger enough to win that election 2027. Thank you.
What do you make of the Goodluck Jonathan bearing the flag of the PDP in 2027?
That would be wonderful.
Is there a risk taken too far, or is there a chance that could be bright for the PDP?
I don't see, one problem with Nigerian democracy is that we don't practice democracy of ideology, like in the Western world or in the civilized society. There must be something you want to put on the ground. If the Labour or party in Britain or, the Conservatives, or even in America, the Republicans and Democrats, there's something you want to tell the people. So somebody that have enumerated and have, highlighted all the progress and all the whole achievements in his tenure. So he is one of the best we can offer.
The reason why I'm asking you as a lawyer is the position of the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And the review of the Constitution of Nigeria as to the chances of anyone who has been sworn into office twice. And those who say, legally speaking, Goodluck Jonathan running on any platform is a very big legal risk. Do you think that your party can afford to take that risk?
Law is mutable. Law is an ass. It depends on interpretation. You know that there are a different dimension to this equation you have asked me. In the first instance, when he acted, when he completed the tenure, because of the death of our former president, the late Yaradua. There was he went to the National Assembly, and then they enacted a law by the doctrine of necessity. What he did was to complete the tenure of Yaradua. But as far as I'm concerned, when he has offered himself for an election, was that first when he was elected for 4 years, as far as I'm concerned. So he still has a chance by the Constitution for a second term. But it depends for our law in the Constitution, the court, the Supreme Court to interpret it.
So you think that your party can test that with Jonathan on the
That's what I'm saying, because he still has a chance.
Okay. Give me a moment. We'll go on another break, and we'll be right back to conclude our conversation. That's our closing moment now with Honorable Okechukwu, who is the Deputy National Legal Advisor of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Thanks so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Shun.
Yeah, I'm not pessimistic, but I thought that you just have a chance.
Okay.
Having lost 3 in 2027, PDP will be hoping that it will rejuvenate and make a comeback. And the fact that you need to test the law very well to see the position of the law in respect of Goodluck Jonathan. And I feel that there are some fears in some quarters about Jonathan. Why do you think some people are afraid about the possibility of a candidate, Goodluck Jonathan?
That is, because you have pointed out. But for me, as a lawyer, whatever the court says is the law, is the law. And I know that there are before the last election, when he went for the last election, I think there was a court in Bayelsa, the Federal High Court, that interpreted and said he had the right to contest. That he still has the right to contest. That's why I said, as far as I'm concerned, the one he served on when Yaradua died was doctrine of necessity. We can't have a vacuum. You must fill up that vacuum that was created when Yaradua died.
Are you privy to the Constitution as amended, as signed by President Buhari?
Yeah, I heard about it,
2018.
but then he was not.
You need to read that amendment.
But he's still a lawyer. The law does not operate retroactively.
Yeah.
You understand my point? But what I say that, as far as I'm concerned, in my own interpretation, but I know any other person, the court can interpret in a different way, that he still has a right for a second tenure, another term of 4 years. Because the one he went, the 2 years he went, was doctrine of necessity. And it was passed by the National Assembly to just fill that gap, because we cannot have a vacuum. Somebody must fill in that.
What about the position of the law that says that not more than 2 terms of 4 years each?
Every other law must be an exception. There's always an exception to any law. So if he said 2 years, I said that one he served under 2 years was doctrine of necessity. That he has to complete the tenure of Yaradua. Are you hearing me? And he went and offered himself only 1 tenure, which he has gone for 4 years.
If your party failed to be able to succeed in a 3rd consecutive or 4th election since losing out in 2015,
but I think that position, sorry that I'm coming, is not reserved for anybody. When we get to the bridge, we will cross it. I think what we are now, concerned about is putting our house in order. Stabilizing our party, making sure that the party is strong enough. But when we get to the primaries, all the contestants, all the aspirants will come out and we will offer them a free and fair primary.
But your party has shown that he doesn't have the capacity to be able to put his house in order.
We have. Like I pointed out today, we have to follow the rule of law. People should not allow their whims and caprices, their personal interest to override the collective interest of the party. Look at what we are talking about, meetings. When you know the position of the National Secretary and what was the legal implication and then the consequences of sidelining him without him.
I need us to anchor.
So these are things we need to put, do properly so that we don't shoot ourselves on the leg.
I need us to anchor on this note.
Okay.
If your party fails again in 2027, could it spell a bye-bye, a final goodbye, and a final punch, and a nail in the coffin for the PDP?
But that's in this climb, like in the Western climb, some of those parties have existed for centuries. Are you hearing me? PDP heralded democracy in Nigeria in 1999. We are still moving forward. The only thing that there may be challenges, like you have said, if we put our house in order and correct it, I still see. I discuss with people in the streets, and I hear what they say. They always tell you that, Babego, let us come, PDP, we want to, please, we should come and rescue them. Because APC, if you look at them, they are a contraception of strange bedfellows. There's no good policies or programs in the party, even in the government. So you see that PDP has a chance. But I believe God and I pray that we'll put our house in order. Let everybody let there be rule of law. Play along, perform your own duty. Allow another person to perform his own duty. You don't try to usurp functions or positions or duties of other people.
Right.
So that we can put our house in order. There will be no crack, there will be no crisis, there will be no conflict, and things will stabilize in that national convention. When we come out of that national convention and produce national officers, I pray you will see people who will come and take up PDP to contest the election in 2027.
Right.
And we'll do well.
Okechukwu Ozuoha is the Deputy National Legal Advisor of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Wakimale. God bless Nigeria.